Welcome to Audrey's World. Audrey's World, it's a fun interview podcast where we daydream about our dream world. You get to know my guest, how we know each other, learn about their lives, and honestly, how fun to just act like we have a magic wand and could create our dream world in worlds that maybe don't exist now. Sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's fun and playful, and honestly, it's just a great way to get to know people because even in the way that they answer that question, you really get a glimpse inside of them. Are they playful? Are they creative? Are they more serious? Are they looking for like that community, world peace, love, that sort of thing? Guys, maybe this is a great dinner table question for you, a date question. Oh my God, I'm going to start asking this on my dates that I go out on. What would your dream world be? And then it's a quick in and out. That's my first question for them. And I really then just know if they're for me or not and cut the date there if it's bad. And then I always like to ask in my interviews what a small win was that you've had recently. I really want it to be a small thing because the small wins, they get overlooked and I just want to get them the credit that they deserve. So that's what I do. You know, why not? It's my podcast. I make the rules. It's Audrey's world and you're just living in it. So lucky for you. I'll cut to the chase. I know you want to get to the meat and potatoes of the episode, so I'll stop here. I'll allow us to get there. Without further ado, today's guest. She's a fellow Xavier gal, an ex-nurse, a traveling connoisseur, Zimbabwe SME, if you will, and our newest tech girly, it's Leah Zinyemba.
How are you?
You.
I'm good.
The last time I saw you, random enough, was in the Cancun airport.
Sure was. Yes, it was. I've had fun, but separate trips, but it was a good time.
Both on bachelorettes
Yeah.
and, landed up in Cancun at the same time. But what a time to be.
I know, so fun. We were on Isla Mujeres, and then you guys were actually on Cancun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Really fun. The island was really chill. I was expecting it to be more crazy, just like Mexico, but it was like the perfect balance of there was stuff to do, but then on the island by midnight, everything was closing down. And so we were
Honestly,
like, all right, perfect. We're all 30. We're going back to bed now.
I was just going to say, honestly, the best night as a 30-year-old going out. Like, we have things to do during the day, but shut it down. Let's be in bed by midnight.
Exactly. It was a good balance of fun bachelorette activity, but also just relaxing and hanging out. It was really good.
Yeah. Oh, that is good. Yeah, ours, we resorted it up, and that was nice to just not have to plan anything or to be responsible for the activities, the reservations, the transportation of it all. But I do think we were kind of itching to get out by the end, all of us. So I don't know if there's maybe that was a good, what you all had was maybe a good in
There's
between.
pros and cons to everything. I don't know. You
Yeah.
probably feel this way, but we're at the age where people are either getting married or having kids or like it's just that phase of life. And so it's always funny when you go on a bachelorette trip because there's usually a broad mix of like your single friend who like is ready to go out and then people literally have children or there's like just so many different dynamics at our age that is always
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny anymore, the dynamics. And we have a few weddings coming up for our college friend group, kind of back to back weekends. But yeah, we're trying to figure out like what to do with the kid during the day when like planning reservations. Now there's, I don't know, 20 of us with partners included. So it's like, okay, guys, who wants to do this reservation? Who wants to do that? So it is like herding cattle, but in a totally different way now that we're getting older. But I know Leah through college. So Leah went to Xavier just like me, but you were one of the infamous nurses. Like at Xavier, you knew at least 10 nurses, like the nursing gals. You all were very prevalent throughout
Oh no,
campus.
prevalent. I feel like that's a terrible thing to be associated with. Maybe not, but the nursing gals, that sounds very ominous.
Oh my God. No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, like Xavier's a huge school for nursing, so everyone knows a nurse. Everyone knows there's an anatomy test coming. We all know we're about to hit our clinicals. Like we were
Uh,
very in the pulse of what was going on in the curriculum, I'll say.
It's funny you say that because I think anyone who lived or was close friends with a nurse 100% felt like they were in nursing school because it was like, okay, we're all studying for our microbiology exam today. Or yeah, it's just funny because you're right. There was like such a large population of nurses at Xavier, and my like close friends. I don't know if you remember Tara. She like was one of the close friends who was not a nurse, but she basically was a nurse because she was
Yeah.
like, all right, we're all studying for this exam. All right, we're all gonna go out and celebrate because you passed this exam. Like, yeah, that's exactly what it was. So it's funny that that's a thing, but you're not the only person who said that. Like, so many people are like, "Oh yeah, you were a nurse at Xavier." I'm like, I don't know what that means, if that's a positive or not, but
I mean, OT was the exact same way. Everyone knew an OT. We all were in that curriculum too. And the business majors, like everyone just kind of clumped all of those into one too. So I feel like, you had the different tracks of people where you kind of knew what was happening with each one. But yeah, nursing was, I think, maybe the most prevalent.
or we were just the most obnoxious about our complaining. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Well, were you one of those girls who grew up and were like, I'm going to be a nurse? Like, or was it something that maybe it was close to decision time and you were like, yeah, that sounds like it could be an option for me?
It's so funny you say that because no, like when you get into high school, you're like, okay, college, I know I'm gonna go, but what do I want to focus on? What do I want to do? Honestly, like probably until my junior year of high school, I couldn't have told you. I thought I wanted to do something in like PR, or I was like, marketing sounds fun. And then actually, my junior year of high school, weirdly enough, I ended up having back surgery. So I played soccer super competitively in high school and then ended up having a couple issues with my back, had some herniated discs. It was like a very sudden thing that happened. And so was hospitalized, ended up ending my soccer career, which at the time feels totally devastating, right? You're like,
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, my whole life is over. All my friends played soccer. Honestly, it was a blessing in disguise. Like, I feel like everything happens for a reason. But
Mhm.
at the time, I was really seriously thinking about playing like Division 3 soccer, trying to get recruited, which again, looking back, I'm like, I would have been in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, probably at a tiny school, like, would have been miserable. And then, yeah, all of that happened, and I absolutely loved my nurses. So I was living in Pittsburgh, that's where I grew up. And Pittsburgh Children's Hospital is like one of the best hospitals in the country, had amazing, amazing care. And so when I came away from that whole experience, I was like, I want to be able to have that impact on someone's life. The way that she made me feel just so cared for in such a vulnerable time. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I want to be able to do that for somebody. And so then I started looking at nursing and I was like, all right, I kind of like science. I like people. I like all these
Mhm.
things. And it all kind of just clicked. And yeah, that's what I started applying to. Nursing school is kind of weird too because you can apply direct admission, which is what Xavier's program was. So all 4 years, you're automatically in. Or some of the larger schools, like one of my best friends went to Ohio State's nursing school. You have to actually take your freshman year of prereqs and then reapply to get in. And I wasn't willing to take that risk. I was like, that's a lot of pressure freshman year. I was like,
Yeah.
I just want to get direct in. So yeah, Xavier was like the perfect option. It had a great nursing school. Obviously the campus is beautiful and
Yeah.
it was 5 hours from Pittsburgh. So it was a new city, but it was still close enough to home that I felt like I could go home for all the holidays and I could see my family whenever I wanted to.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, not to completely dismiss everything that you said about Xavier, but Leah, I had no idea that you had back surgery at such a young age. But I too played volleyball in high school and was very much, it was my whole identity. There was no doubt in my mind I was going to play volleyball in college. Like I was going to be that girl. And then I just realized how burnt out I was. And I was just like, yeah, no more. And after college and even in college, I was like, thank God. Like I felt like it was the perfect way to remove that part of my identity and just really figure out who I was. But it is so crazy how those experiences around those time impact you so much because for you it then changed your like career trajectory and where you wanted to go. And I don't know, I never give high school a lot of credit, but when it comes to those sorts of things, it really is crazy how impactful and how much it can really change the path and the direction of your life.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree. Like, I think in high school, I don't know, myself at least, like you identify with sports, right? It's your friend group, it's your weekends, it's your nights, it's literally everything you do. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, to have that taken away, it's a lot. And then you're kind of like, all right, well, who am I if I don't play this sport? But I think that was a good precursor of, again, like you go to college and then you have to find new hobbies. And it's a really cool transition period where you can kind of find yourself and like what you're actually interested in outside of that one particular sport.
Yeah. And if you go to a college where like I didn't know anyone going into it or anything, you could truly just create that own identity for yourself and really explore all of those things. You just kind of have that freedom a little bit more too, which was worth
Totally.
it and nice.
Well, I didn't know anyone at Xavier going into it. And to your point, that was kind of the fun part of it because a lot of people from my hometown, I grew up in a small Western Pennsylvania city, like 40 minutes north of Pittsburgh, and most people went to like the same five schools. Obviously,
Mm,
there were the exceptions, but I would say
yeah.
like 50% of my graduating class probably all went to the same five schools. And so that's a very different college experience when it's just like more of your hometown, more of the same stuff.
Hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, I want something different. I want something a little bit bigger and more exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what it was for me too. I think I wanted that change of pace and Xavier was really good for me in a lot of ways, and I'm so happy to have had be that way going into college. Like it has been over a decade since
Yeah,
we're freshmen in college,
that's
but
easy to think.
um I know, right? Like crazy to
Yeah.
think. Um but I was so excited about it too. Like, I mean, I was a little nervous here and there, and I think maybe like the second weekend in, I was like, oh, this is my life now. But it wasn't anything that I was like freaking out about. But it was great to have the people who were around me, to make that forge that change and make it maybe a little easier for myself. But yeah, I know college is a struggle for some people, or, finding their people, finding groups or whatnot. Maybe it was just Xavier, but I feel like a lot of people were open to the experience and everything.
I also think Xavier just has great people, like in general. I feel like when I was looking at Xavier, I actually didn't grow up Catholic. And so the fact that Xavier was a Catholic school, I was like, doesn't really affect me. Like, that's like a nice to have, but yeah, not important for me.
Yeah.
I really liked that it was mission oriented and there were service trips. And generally, you could tell that there were people who cared about the world, which might sound silly, but I think that really was reflected in a lot of the people that I came across at Xavier, and they just genuinely were like good people. And
Yeah.
I don't know that you find that at every school that you go to.
Yeah. Or at a bigger school, there's just that volume's there. So it's a lot harder to find those people who have those values or who like align with that sort of mission too.
Exactly. What
Yeah.
did say? Didn't we have a thing at Xavier? Wasn't it like Citizens of the World or something? I can't remember. There used to be like a tagline. I can't remember
Oh,
what it is.
really?
Yeah.
I totally forgot about the mission trips. Oh yeah, people would go out and do like volunteer weekends were
I
and
I
things
spent
like
like
that.
2 of my spring breaks going on alternative breaks.
Oh, that
And
yes.
yeah, it was really fun. I honestly, going into my freshman year, was like, oh, that's so cool that people do that. And then I had a chance. I went on 2 different trips, which were really cool.
Wait, where did you go? Tell us about those.
One, we went to Nashville, and each trip had a theme, and it was a lot about educating yourself on the theme of the trip and then doing something to help kind of put it into
Mm.
action. The one in Nashville was around accessibility, and so we went and actually built wheelchair ramps for different folks through like an organization that was local in Nashville. That was really, really cool. I mean, I had zero construction experience, but we got to like actually build the ramps and meet the people who we were building them for. And yeah, it was just really cool. And then my other trip was in Salt Lake City, and our topic or theme was around refugees in America. And that was really cool. So Salt Lake has one of the highest refugee community populations, which I did not know. And actually,
No.
sister and her family live in Salt Lake, and it was really cool. We volunteered at a refugee center and did a bunch of small projects throughout the week.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm so proud of Xavier because I'm like, wow, those are both topics that are so prevalent now. Like, way to be ahead of the curve, or
This was 10 years
that's so
ago.
cool. Yeah, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I never did anything like that. I was selfish. Like, I was definitely in my, like, I want to have fun. I want to have my spring break to go to Miami and have the most outrageous weekend of my life.
But also,
But
good on you. Like, that's what you should be doing in college. So,
but yeah, that's so special. And Hoot, I had no idea about Salt Lake City.
yeah,
Honestly, when I hear Salt Lake City, I think of Mormons and then I think of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So I'm not thinking about
honestly,
refugee.
you're not far off, but
I feel like for you, college maybe has to be a little extra special because that's you met Tatenda in college, right?
yeah, we met my sophomore year, his junior year,
Oh my
in
God.
college. Yeah, so that's my husband. We've been married for 6 years now, but we've been together like a decade, 10 years, which is crazy.
That's so crazy. I can't believe it. I love your guys' relationship story. So will you tell everyone how you met?
Of course. So Tatendo was an international student. He's originally from Zimbabwe. And we went out to a bar one night. Actually, I don't know if you know this full story, the
Probably
backstory.
not.
He went out for his best friend's birthday. They were out at this bar. I don't know if you remember this, but Xavier used to have like buses from bars that
Yes.
would pick us up.
They would
So
take us out. It was incredible.
incredible. We were like, we don't have to pay for transportation. You're going to take us directly to where we want to go. Fantastic.
Incredible.
So that's what we did. And I still credit Tara, who I was talking about earlier, for the reason why I met Tatendo, which I'll get to. But
Cute.
we all went because we were celebrating passing our microbiology exam. It was Friday night. We were like,
Okay.
we passed this exam. We're going out. We're celebrating. Let's go. So we went out to this bar, and Tara had a little bit too many beverages to drink, and I could not find her. I was like, where did she go? Unclear. So I went up on this elevated platform to find her, and I was looking down at the crowd, and this really attractive looking nice man was walking in my line of sight and was going to the bathroom. And we tell very different stories, but I will
Of
admit I
course.
definitely like looked him up and down, gave him he stopped and talked to me, and yeah, ended up chatting. He got my number. We like talked for a little bit, and we were sitting in the like VIP area that we definitely should not have been sitting in. And so
Classic.
someone eventually came over and was like, you need to get up.
Hmm.
So we went our separate ways, and he ended up texting me the next morning, and that's how we continued the conversation. But yeah, so we met out at a bar, and the rest is history.
That's so crazy. Okay, twofold. Meeting a man at the bar, could not imagine now, or like a high quality guy, like out seems whoa. And so I did not realize that we were sophomores when you two
Yeah,
met.
yeah.
So yeah, have been together forever.
I know. It's been a really long time. So yeah, we dated through college, and then he had an extra year on his international student visa. You get to work in your like line of work or profession for a year afterwards. So he had an internship at an investment bank in Cincinnati, and so that was our senior year. So we were still together, which was great. And I think fondly of college in that time period because of our relationship, but also like Cincinnati as a city because I feel like there were so many like fun dates and just things we got to do together that I still think really fondly of. But then my senior year, he was finishing up his like last year of his student visa, and then he chose to go back and live in Zimbabwe. That's where most of his family still is. And so was going to go back there and work for Ernst and Young,
Mm.
which is like obviously a big international company, but there was a Zimbabwe branch. And so yeah, I was like, all right, well, I guess we're doing long distance. We're gonna figure it
Hmm.
out. I was working as a brand new nurse. I was working night shift. And honestly, it kind of worked out with the time difference because
Oh, that's
I would
good.
be awake when I was working. So it kind of worked
Yeah.
out. But yeah, then I quickly found myself working like ridiculous overtime and crazy shifts to save up money and go visit.
Mhm.
And so I ended up traveling there every 2 months essentially. And I was like, all
Wow.
right, this seems like a lot. I should just move here. And at first it was kind of a joke, and then it wasn't. And then, yeah, in that same time period, we ended up getting engaged. So I was like, all right, I should probably just move there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, I could not remember if you got engaged after you moved to Zimbabwe with him or if it was before. So
Yeah,
it was before.
yeah.
So that probably made the move there a little easier for you too. And was getting a visa hard for
Not
you?
really. I'm trying
No?
to remember. It's funny. I look back now and I'm like, were you crazy? Like, I feel like I didn't really prepare. I just kind of was like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Like, it's gonna happen. I originally went on a tourist visa, and you have 90 days or something, and you can come back. Like, there's not a huge limit. Eventually, after we got married, I ended up getting permanent residency, so then you don't have to renew it as often. Like, I think it was like every 3 years or something, I could renew my permanent residency visa, and that gives you the ability to work and do all sorts of stuff if I wanted to there.
Yeah. Oh, what did you do for work or how was working then once
Yeah.
getting to Zimbabwe?
It was tough. I think similar to like how you make sports your identity, like as an adult, I then just made work my identity. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, for me, that was really hard. I had only been working as a nurse for a little over a year at that point, and I was like, I really don't want to like give up my dream and my career and everything I've worked for. I've always been someone that's like super driven by work and like feeling a sense of accomplishment. I don't think there would ever be a point in my life where I would stop working, even if
Mm.
I didn't need to. Like it just
Yeah.
gives me a lot of happiness and fulfillment. And so that was really tough to go there and not have that. When I initially was moving there, I had applied for my nursing license in Zimbabwe. So similar to
Mhm.
the US, you like have to have a license to practice and you need to transfer and show your requirements and all sorts of things. So it was a lot of like paperwork and things happening. Like anything you try to do that's a process in Zim is kind of a nightmare.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of like follow up. My sister-in-law was a saint and like literally went and like stood in line at the office for me for like hours on end before I had gotten there to like try to apply for me and like do all these things. So I want to say 3 or 4 months, maybe even like after I had arrived until my nursing license came out. But luckily his family had a friend who owned like a private medical center. It was like a community private hospital. Um, and yeah, I was able to work there for a little bit. And that kind of gave me a little bit of a sense of normalcy. Like, again, everything's
Mhm.
completely different. Their health system's different, but at least I felt I've got like some normalcy to my day and my routine and like what I'm doing. In that interim period, I was kind of searching for that, like, okay, what's going to give me fulfillment here? And that's when
Yeah.
I started doing grad school online. So I did my master's in nursing education, and I was like, I just need to like do something that makes me feel like I'm working towards a goal or achievement.
Yeah.
And I did that. And so that was something really positive, I would say, for my own mental health and happiness, just to
For
like give me
sure.
work towards. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was definitely tough. I think there's so many different factors, like you're figuring out your identity, you're figuring out living in a new country, trying to make friends as an adult. Like there's so many different factors that went into that first year that I think made it really hard, but
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't change it for anything. I absolutely loved my experience living there. Like if I zoom out and think about it like now, but yeah, that first year was definitely a hard transition.
I can't imagine because that was when you were early 20s or something and I was not living in Zimbabwe where trying to navigate any of that and it was still so challenging learning what's driving you, friends, working, becoming a real adult, not just like college adulting. Like that time is so challenging already. So I can't imagine doing it in a country that's far away from friends, from family, or trying to get a job where that does give you a lot of like passion and purpose is gone. So you have to find something else. I mean, I don't know. I feel like if that were me, I could have easily really resented like Tatenda, his family, and all of that. But it sounds like you really put some onus on yourself to get your master's to work towards things like that. So you were continuing to grow and not just kind of pausing everything for your relationship or pausing everything to move to another country.
Yeah, I mean, I give Tatenda a lot of credit. He was super supportive, and I think if you ask anyone, like, there's so many people, especially young adults, who leave Zimbabwe for better opportunities and go live abroad. And I think everyone misses home. Like, there's a part of them that wishes Zimbabwe, the economy was more stable and things were better and the government wasn't kind of all over the place. Like, people love their country, but they know that there's better opportunities elsewhere. And so, I think it helped our relationship, like being able to relate on that level and finally understand the challenges that you like grew up with and can understand when the electricity goes out for 12 hours. Like it's just a different level of understanding with him and his family that I am really grateful for because I do. I think it teaches you so many lessons and like it's that sense of camaraderie of like, okay, we're in this
Mhm.
together. Like I get it. I understand it because I've lived it. And
Yeah.
you can talk about something, but until you actually live it for yourself, it's so different. Um,
Hmm.
I think really helped our relationship. But yeah, I give him a lot of credit because Zim is not an easy place to live, and especially to have an American partner come over
Yeah.
and be like, "All right, we're gonna make this as positive of an experience as possible."
Yeah.
Uh, that takes a lot on him too. So yeah, I
Yeah.
don't discount that at all.
Yeah. Oh, I can't imagine how strong it made you too and your partnership. I went to Tanzania for 6 weeks, so nothing compared to what you experienced. But even through my time there, I just saw such a difference in how America perceives Africa. And then, some of that is maybe sticks or is true, but Africa is so different than what we think of or what we see. So I'd love to hear what it was like for you or some big differences.
I think for me, I really tried to just listen and learn. I think that was my biggest thing of like, sure, you might hear things or see things in movies, but like I've never lived here. I'm just gonna
Hmm.
listen, learn, and absorb. And that's kind of how I tackle anything in life. I just ask a million questions, for better or worse. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, tell me this, or tell me this, or explain like why this happens. And so, yeah, I think there was a big learning curve for me. I also think it's a very different experience when you're a woman marrying into an African family, just culturally, your responsibilities as a woman and as a wife. I think for me, like being a proud feminist, I had a lot of thoughts and opinions on like gender roles and things like that,
Hmm.
and actually learning the cultural aspect of it of like no, they actually really respect women and they hold them in really high regard. There's just different things that you do culturally and it's not bad towards women. There was a lot of
Hmm.
stuff like that that I had to wrestle with uh
Yeah.
myself, but I think in general just learning about like the way why things are the way they are now, like how different countries were colonized. Zimbabwe was colonized by the British. And so everyone there speaks English, which for
Hmm.
me was really nice. They obviously have a native tongue as well. But yeah, it's just really interesting. I think a lot of the perceptions around Africa are totally incorrect. But then on a country by country level, it's like the same thing as someone being like, oh, all of South America is exactly the same, or all of Asia
Hmm.
is exactly the same. Like you
Yeah.
can't group a whole continent together. I think that's one of my biggest pet peeves. And people are like, "Oh yeah, I went to Africa." You're like, "Okay, but where?" You
Yeah.
know?
It's
Where-
huge. Yeah.
And so yeah, for me, I think it was just listening and learning and trying to absorb as much information as possible about the language, about the culture, about everything.
Yeah.
Um, I still learn things every day. Like I'm not
Oh, I'm
an
sure.
expert, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think more than anything too, like some of the biggest differences I've noticed is the pace of life. Like you
Yeah.
don't have access to a lot of the same things, whether that's online shopping or different apps for food delivery or like
Mhm.
basic things that we take for granted here in the States. Sure, it might feel like an inconvenience to not have Amazon, but it's like actually really nice to not
Yeah.
have that. Or some of the stores will close at 7 p.m., but people just go home and hang out with their family. Like
Mhm.
the pace of life is a lot slower there, and people don't take stuff for granted. Like, you really cherish the simple things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is so nice to be reminded of the simpler times and just being. I've been reflecting a lot or remembering my time in Tanzania, and that was my favorite part is it was so simple and so being. I do feel like that's just kind of the pace generally there too, but it is so refreshing and just yeah, spending time with your loved ones.
I think too, one of the biggest takeaways or life lessons of living there is it's like people in Zim always say you'll make a plan. Like, you can always make a plan no matter what like challenge or obstacle you have to overcome. Because if you ask anyone living in Zimbabwe, they'll be like, "Oh, it's a mission." Like, it's literally a mission to do your daily life, whether that's the electricity's out for 18 hours or the water's gone. Like, there's just always something that
Mhm.
happens. And so, yeah, I feel like it taught me a lot of life skills on just how to stay positive, and where there's a will, there's a way. People in Zim
Yeah.
are so creative and innovative, and yeah, it also helps you bond together with your neighbors and with your friends. And like, when you when you're in a challenging situation, you, I think, look for community, and so that was really cool as well.
Yeah. That is awesome. That's cool. I imagine maintaining relationships with your family, your friends in the States were so challenging at that time. So, how did you maintain them and kind of keep up to date with everyone? Or when you were really missing people, like what were you able to do?
Yeah, honestly, FaceTime was great. I feel very lucky because my oldest sister, so I have two sisters. My oldest sister actually lives in Mongolia, and she's
Mm,
lived there for the last 13 or 14 years now.
wow.
And so she kind of like set the tone and set the path. She met her husband, they have three girls, and live there now. And so when my parents knew I was dating Tatenda, my mom joked, she's like, "Oh, great, you're like gonna go get married and live in Zimbabwe." And I was like, I mean, I can't say they were super shocked when I was like, "Hey, by the way, I'm moving there."
Yeah.
Uh, so I feel very lucky that my sister paved that path for me, and just being able to watch her be really intentional about keeping in touch and like having our family group chat and being able to still share memories and talk to each other. I think that was really important. The time change is always hard. It's usually either
Mm,
7 hours or 6 hours. So
mhm.
not terrible. But yeah, I think too, it was like right after that first year of graduating college. So people are figuring out their work schedules and their life and like still hanging out with college friends. I don't know about you, but a lot of my friends still lived in Cincinnati. And so
Yeah.
that was hard to feel like, oh, I'm missing out on some of those like relationships and memories and things that they're all doing together. But honestly, I kind of felt that way working night shift as a nurse too. So um, that wasn't as hard because I already felt a little bit disconnected from everyone. I was just working so often, and like on my days off, I was exhausted and just wanted to sleep. So yeah, I think just being intentional about reaching out. It's hard. I think even now as an adult, you have to be intentional with your relationships and with communicating. But something I'm really big on is if you pop into my head and I have a thought, I'm going to send you a voice note or I'm going to text you, even if
Mhm.
it's like, hey, thinking of you. Like, being able to do that, I think makes the connections and friendships stay a little bit more natural. And yeah, there's definitely people I think that you lose touch with over time. And, you can't be best friends with everyone forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, those core people I was definitely able to still stay in touch with.
Yeah, that's so true. Even now, kind of hard to keep up with everyone. We all have such different lives. We live in different places. Time zones can be a challenge, even in the
Yeah,
States. So, yeah, you got that lesson early on. It sounds like just how to be intentional and maintain those relationships with everyone.
exactly.
So, how long were you there, all in all?
We lived there for about 4 years total. Yeah.
Wait, no way.
Yeah.
I thought it was like two. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah. We only moved back. So 2020 2022. Yeah, 2022 we moved back. So I've only been in Atlanta like 3-ish years now.
I'm like flabbergasted. That's it. No, I had no
Yeah.
idea you guys were there that long.
Hmm.
Wow. That is crazy. So yeah, 3 years really kind of not like, but back in the States, kind of back on that rhythm and groove. Was that transition back harder than you anticipated?
I think for me, no, not necessarily. I mean, it's tough. Like, it's difficult anytime you have a major life transition, but
Yeah.
honestly, neither of us had even lived in Atlanta or like visited Atlanta before. We literally touched down. We like didn't have a US SIM card, didn't have data. Like
Yeah.
literally we were like, okay, we're back in the States.
Yeah.
I'd never been in Atlanta before. So yeah, we just figured it out and made a plan, made it work. And I love Atlanta. It's such a fun city. I was actually really like against moving here and was very like negative about it because I don't know, like growing up in, if you consider Pittsburgh the Midwest, or like growing up in the
Yeah.
North, you're just like, ew, the South. I don't ever want
Yes.
to live anywhere near the South. That sounds
Yeah.
terrible to me. And honestly, the political environment and everything happening at that time, I was just like, that sounds atrocious. I know.
Why
Um,
would we put ourselves there? Like,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And then Tatenda got a really great job opportunity, and I was like, all right. I was working fully remote at the time, so I was like, okay, I'm down for it. Let's do it. And I'm so grateful we're here. I love Atlanta. It's so diverse. There's so much to do. It's brought me so many amazing friendships and people and community.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear a lot of great things about Atlanta. I've never been. I want to go, but I have a lot of colleagues who they were telling me recently about the street fest there, how you have them like all year round because it's the weather's so nice in Chicago only gets those in the summer because like that's the only time people want to be outside. Um, but I can't imagine having that kind of culture and environment all the time. Just street fest, always things going on. It does seem like it's a very active and very like collaborative community. I feel like everyone's really willing to connect there.
For sure. And again, as an adult, you have to be intentional about making friends. But I felt like I got over that hurdle in Zim of like, okay, you've got to
Yeah.
put yourself out there and you've got to like go do hobbies and things that you're interested in to meet like-minded people. And so when I came to Atlanta, it came a lot more naturally to me, even though I was working fully remote. Like our neighbors are great. I connected with a bunch of them. I actually connected with some people who went to Xavier that now live here and I'm best friends with. So just different things like that was a lot easier for me to plug into. And I was like, all right, this feels good. Like this feels easy. And I really love there's a decently sized Zimbabwean community here as well, which has been
Oh,
really nice
wow.
to meet a bunch of people that way. And that's been really nice to kind of have that too.
Did you know that going into Atlanta or did you stumble upon that?
I think we knew that there was a decent amount. Zimbabwe is pretty small, like relatively, if you think about population size, just of different African countries. But Atlanta's such a diverse hub that I knew there was a huge African community here. But yeah, there's a decent amount of Zimbabweans here, which is really fun.
Oh, that is good. So you were saying you now work remote. So clearly you're not nursing anymore and you had to navigate I'm sure a big career shift. So what are you doing now? How did you get into that changing of careers and industries?
Yeah, so when I was living in Zimbabwe, the economic situation there is pretty tough, and they've gone through a lot of difficulties with the currency and inflation and all sorts of things over the years. So it's really difficult unless you're making foreign income, like foreign currency, to live a decent life there. So when I was working as a nurse, it was honestly like more of a hobby of like,
Yeah.
okay, like fulfilling, but it's really not that great financially.
Yeah.
And so I was looking for different opportunities that I could do remotely or outside of the country while living in the country to try to make
Mhm.
foreign income. So I happened to stumble upon a nursing Facebook group, I think. It was one of those things that you're like a part of the group, but you'll never post, or I was always just a
Yeah.
silent follower. And then I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I just posted, hey, I'm living outside of the US. Does anyone know any opportunities that I could use my nursing license and work outside of the US? The hard thing with nursing is you're licensed by state and there's a lot of rules and regulations. So you can't often work outside of the US, even if it's a telehealth company or something. And someone messaged me and was like, hey, you should send me your resume. I work for this tiny health tech startup. And I was like, I don't really know what a startup is, but
Be in tech, what?
great. And this is in 2018. Like I knew
Yeah.
nothing. Came from nursing. And so I had an interview later that week. It was for like, an operations role. It was a seed stage startup company, a health tech company. And I was like, this is great. They're going to let me work remote. I didn't care about the hours because I was working night shift before. I was like, I can work US hours. I'll do anything. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care. I have
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, like I can do it. So I ended up working there for 5.5 years. I had like 5 different roles throughout my time there. But it ended up growing. So I was like less than 10 employees when I started. We were at like 150, maybe almost 200 people. I can't remember
Wow.
exactly, but we grew from seed stage company all the way till we were Series B, but we were valued at a unicorn, which is like 1.65 billion, which is pretty
That's
cool.
crazy. Oh
Yeah.
my, to see that growth, to be a part of early stage like that, that is really, really special. And I'm like,
Yeah.
can't even imagine how many hats you had to wear and how much you were learning in those early years too.
Yeah. I feel really grateful for the opportunity because it's like one of those chance things that just like doesn't happen. I honestly thought it was kind of fake at first. I'm like, okay, let's see if I get paid. Like, I'm not really sure if it's like a real job or not. Yeah, and just learned an immense amount about startups, about health tech, about just different skill sets that honestly I think are super transferable from nursing, like critical thinking and empathy and like
Yeah.
assessment skills and just being able to do so many different things. It was really fun for me to be able to apply that in a different sense. And
Hmm.
yeah, I absolutely loved it. So started in operations and then ended up leading and managing a team over there and then decided to switch over more to the customer side of stuff. So I was a director of onboarding. So I would help onboard and get them going. Um, I love being customer facing. I think it's so fun to get to show part of your product and like it sounds
Yeah.
so cheesy, but get to show people the real value and also
Hmm.
just, like, build relationships. So yeah, that was really fulfilling for me and really fun. And then I felt like I had just got to a point where I wasn't super passionate about what I was working on or the things I was doing. I almost felt like I could do it in my sleep. Um,
Hmm.
and again, I've always been someone who's like super intrinsically motivated and like just want to crush it and do cool
Yeah.
stuff and build things. So I knew for me that I didn't really care about necessarily staying in health tech. Like it would have been nice just because of my background. I think it's applicable, but
Hmm.
for me, it was more about the impact of like, am I going to feel fulfilled? Am I going to feel like what I'm doing is making an impact in the world? And am I going to enjoy the people that I'm working with? Those are the
Yeah.
three things that I indexed for. So yeah, I just started looking at different opportunities, not super seriously. I ended up coming across a job where I'm working now that's actually in climate tech. So
Mm.
totally different, um,
Yeah.
totally different industry, complete learning curve. Like didn't know a single thing about the climate tech industry. Still in customer success, but it was an opportunity to start and go back to an earlier stage startup. So I knew
Mm.
I just love the startup culture, the feel, the vibe, getting to do a million things. And yeah, it's just the fun, like messy stage of building. And I was really
Yeah.
excited about getting to do that again. Found the company that I work with now, and it's actually hybrid. So I'm in office in Atlanta 3 days a week. And at first, that was a big issue for me. Like in the interview
Yeah.
process, I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't think I can do it. It's honestly been like one of my favorite parts of the job. Like,
Hmm.
I think I would feel differently if I didn't love my team and I didn't love the people I work with. But getting to go in person and see everyone and collaborate, it really does make such a big difference when you're working on a million different things at a million miles an hour. So,
For
yeah,
sure.
it's been a really good switch up for me. I feel very ignited again and just happy with work and what I'm doing. It's definitely um consuming. Like I'm one of those people that I need to like sometimes take a step back and be like there's more to life than work. So yeah, I'm still figuring that out and like trying to balance work life. I think that's always going to be a struggle.
Yeah.
But I think like I find a lot of fulfillment out of the work that I do. And so that's why I find myself like dedicating so much time just because I care so deeply about what I'm doing.
Yeah. But how, like, great is that you wake up, you love your job, you're ignited by it. Like, having that is so special. And the team, that's so funny that you were talking about like going into the office and things, because I've been remote for close to 5 years now. And yeah, a part of me definitely would love a hybrid situation, but I'm talking like a day or two in office.
I will say too,
Um,
it's very flexible. Like no
yeah.
one's gonna be judging you if you're like, hey, I don't feel good or I want to take calls from home today. Like it's a
Hmm.
very flexible situation. I think it's
That's good.
also just a healthy culture because there's, I'm sure, hybrid work environments that people are judging you if you don't come in every day or whatever. And
Yeah.
that's very much not the case. I was worried about that going into it. And then, yeah, that's definitely not the vibe. I think the hybrid is nice because it just allows for collaboration and like getting to
Yeah,
know people on a human level versus just like on Slack getting to talk
for
to each other.
sure. Yeah, that's what a colleague and I were talking about today. He works in London and they just reopened the London office. He went in the day before and he was like, it was so great catching up with people who I haven't been able to the last year while this was shut down, getting remodeled and we were talking about just the joy of connecting with people on a human level. He was saying how they all went out for drinks after and it was great just to hear about people's families or their personal lives because now at work, like it's so sad. I feel like at least where I work, you just get right down to business. There's like not a ton of personal or fluff and we miss that. Also, I feel like because we're not in office, there's a lack of like cross-functional communication. So if you have a problem, you like don't really know who to go to or you don't know what other teams are doing, but when you're in the office, you really do get to have that collaboration and connection with each other. And I especially in a startup, I can't imagine how valuable that time together really is. So that's so cool.
Even my first week, it was so fun because I'd never worked at an in-person like corporate job my whole
Yeah.
life. And so I came in and they had like written and sweet message on the whiteboard and had swag for me on my desk. And I was like, oh my God, this is the nicest thing I've ever seen. And we all went to lunch for my first day. It was
That's
just so
cute.
fun to get to hang out. We're a global company. We have a London office. And
Hmm.
so just recently we had like an on-site where the London team came and everyone like flew in. And it was so fun. We honestly just spent like 7 days all together. I like
Yeah.
came early and I like planned a hike on the weekend and we went to brunch and most people would be
Cute.
like, why would you want to hang out with your colleagues like outside of work? And I'm like, they're actually really good people. Like they're just like
Yeah.
fun people. Especially as Americans, we spend so much of our lives working. You have to enjoy what you're doing and who you're with. Otherwise, it's just going
Hmm.
to be so draining.
Hmm. That's what I tell the folks I work with too. I do a lot of people management, so I keep a pulse on if they like what they're doing. But the people you work with, that's what I'm more interested in. Are you loving your boss? Are you learning things still? Like, how's the collaboration? Because 100% agree. If you're not learning, growing, you don't trust the people that you're working with, like it's just going to be off for everyone. And that's not a fun situation to put yourself in. So it's so amazing that you have that in your team and in your day to day. And I can imagine why you're like jazzed for work. That's amazing.
It's funny too because I love your new outfit series you've been doing of like I'm gonna get dressed for myself at home. And honestly, that's been half the fun of having to go into the office is I get to wear real clothes again. I get to
Yeah.
feel fun and stylish.
Well, Leah, every episode I ask everyone what their dream world would be. So if you had like a magic wand, what sort of things would be in Leah's world?
Oh, that's such a good question. So, dream world. Ooh. Honestly, this is going to sound really basic, but just having the ability for people to respect each other's differences is really important. I think there's so much like tension and divide in our world today, and if everyone just had like a little more empathy and understanding for everybody's perspectives and experiences, I think we would all be a lot happier and a lot more peaceful. Also, think it would be super cool if there was a way for us to travel instantly to wherever we wanted to go. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's like a super high-speed train or a crazy fast airplane or whatever, but just to be able to stay connected with my sister being abroad and like some of my coworkers abroad, it's just you feel that distance a little bit more. Or I love to travel, and so when I have to do
Hmm.
travel, I'm like, oh, it's so far. I have to fly all the way to Zimbabwe, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that would also be really fun if we could have instant travel. That would definitely be on my list.
Yeah. Well, the everyone anymore really wants that community or that respect and love for each other. Just a way to agree to disagree, even again, is something that people keep coming back to, and it is so sad that like that's such a theme in our lives right now that we can't do something so basic. So a lot of people are missing that community and missing that respect for each other too. And on Audrey's World a few weeks ago too, she mentioned teleportation and then we took it one
Oh,
step
I copied
further.
her. Oh no.
Like, oh no, no, no. But we took it one step forward, and I can't stop thinking about this because I have a lot of travel coming up too, where you could get the time back where you traveled. And wouldn't that be like travel days are so grueling, and especially if you have a delay or a cancellation or something happens, like I just feel like it really brings up shit. So how amazing if you could then like, oh, it wouldn't be that bad. You could get the time back. To me, sounds so dreamy, and I keep thinking about that a lot.
Honestly, I don't mind a travel day, and maybe this is like my type A crazy personality. I get a lot of shit done when I'm on a
Yeah.
plane work-wise. I can knock out. I'm so productive. It's really odd. Um,
Yeah.
but give me 8 hours on a plane and some Wi-Fi, I will get a lot done. So
Oh my
I
God, wait, what are you doing? Are you strictly working or are you like planning
usually
things for personal? Like what's going on?
No, usually I'm working. I'm just like heads down in a seat with nothing else. Like you're locked in. Like I always am so productive. It's great. Or just honestly reading books. I get
Mm.
a lot of books read on planes. You'd think I would like watch the movies in front of me because usually planes have good movies. I barely touch the screen in front of me. Like doesn't
Hmm.
matter what flight I'm on. Yeah, I'm either usually reading a book or working.
Yeah. Oh my God. Maybe that's the newest working hack is just putting Leah on a plane and like like you want to get something done, send her across the world. Let's
I
see what
also don't
happens.
sleep super well on planes, so I instead of going stir crazy trying to sleep, I just am like, "All right, I'm gonna be super productive."
I love that. I think my dream world too has a lot of these things, of course, like that respect for each other, giving people access. I don't think any of us ever want to hold different groups back from things. I want everyone to, of course, be like happy, healthy, thriving.
Yeah.
So if that's out of the equation, I think giving the people some sort of stipend or the opportunity to travel and have these experiences too would totally be up there. But it's summer here, people are enjoying the outside. I just wish there were some way in the winter here in Chicago to somehow like emulate these street fest or do more of those things. Like I know we have them, but it's so hard to get to them because it's so cold or and the morale is just to the floor. So I wish there was maybe some way to like combat that and make these fun summer vibes of enjoying street fests, patios, rooftops, even just going to the lake. Like if so we could somehow bottle that up and make it easier to do that in the winter. I think that'd be my dream world too.
Dude, to your point, like giving people the same access and opportunities, it would almost be fun if people could swap lives with someone for a day and just choose your own adventure, like choose who you want to be for a day and where you want to live, what you want to do, what you want to experience. I think
Oh
that would
my
be really
God.
cool too.
That would be
Yeah, I
insane.
think again, you can't relate to someone until you actually experience what their life's like. And there's a lot of people who will never get to experience travel or certain things like that. And so, like, allowing everyone to have that opportunity would be really cool.
Hmm. Why did I just imagine like an insane version of Wife Swap? Did you ever watch that growing up or do you remember
Oh,
that
I
show?
love Life Swap. That was such a classic, like iconic,
Like
iconic.
I just imagined an insane version of Wife Swap happening.
Have you seen, I think it's on YouTube maybe, there's a guy who goes and there'll be certain parts of cities where there's workers for hire, like construction workers and things that you can go and, pay them an hourly rate and they'll come finish a job for you or something. And this guy goes and instead of, he'll say like, hey, who wants to work today or who needs a job today? And he'll take them to Disney World or he pays them to go have fun for the day. And
Oh
it is
my
like the world's
God.
sweetest videos. They always make me so happy because it's just the people like living their best life. And at first they're like, wait, no, no, like I want to work. What are you talking about? And they're like, no, I'm
Yeah.
still going to pay you. I just want you to have fun today. Like I'm paying you to go have fun. And
Yeah.
they'll eat all this good food and like ride roller coasters and just like have a blast together. I feel like in a dream world that would be so fun if everybody could like experience stuff like that on a regular basis.
Oh my God. I see those types of videos all the time. I'm always sobbing and I'm like, I want to do something like that. Or yeah, why can't more people just have that, to have a day to not be like fighting for your life or working super hard to make ends meet and just laugh and have a good day. Yeah, we need more of that in our current world. So, I'll have to find that because honestly, I'd just be sobbing the whole time, but it would be a good sob. Well, we don't live in that reality, unfortunately. So, to ease the transition, is there a small win that you've recently had that you want to celebrate? Maybe it's doing an errand that's been on the back burner forever, dropping things off at, like, I don't know, Goodwill or something. Maybe it's cooking something new, doing something solo.
Yeah. Okay, I have two small ones. Have you ever heard of solid core before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm addicted to solid core now.
Love.
And small win is I can now get through an entire class without a break. Like,
Hell yeah. That is insanely hard. Solid core is like so challenging. That's huge.
and I've started to go on my toes for some of the exercises, which is like, listen, maybe it's not the whole time, but
Yeah.
even getting up on my toes, I'm proud of myself. So
That's leveling up. Oh my God. No, that's huge. Yeah. Big pat on the back, Leah.
the no, solid core's been really fun. And it's one of those things that like you can totally zone out for 50 minutes because they're like, moving so fast and talking and then there's music and my brain gets to shut off. And for me
Yeah.
that's like really nice to just have that time. Yeah, and it makes you feel really strong, which is fun. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
all in for me, I would say. And then the other one this year was Tatenda and I both were like more intentional about trying to do our own like trips that we wanted to go on, whether
Mm.
that was like together or not together. Like we just wanted to plan stuff that made us happy and do some solo trips this year.
Yeah.
So I just went on a trip with my friend Kim, who lives in Atlanta, and we planned a trip to go to Morocco and Portugal, which was really fun.
Shut up.
Yeah, we had a blast.
That's insane. Okay, I feel like I've heard a lot of good things recently about Portugal, but tell me about Morocco. How was that? That's so cool.
Yeah, and it was honestly like spur of the moment. We had gone actually on the bachelorette trip together to
Ugh.
Cancun, and we had like knew each other, but we weren't super close. And then on that trip, we roomed together, and we were like, "Wait, you're really fun. I think we should
That's the
travel
best.
together. Like, we need to hang out more." And then literally a week later, she texted me and was like, "So actually, where are we going though?"
I'm
And
not letting this pass.
no, and I'm not kidding. Like within 30 days, we were on a trip together. So it
Oh
was
my God.
really good timing. But Portugal was beautiful. I actually had a work conference when I was there too, which was fun.
Mm.
So got to see some people. And then we went to Morocco. Morocco is, you feel like you're in a whole new world.
Oh, I
That
bet.
sounds crazy, but like you really do. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We did a couple days in the desert. So we were out in the Sahara. It's just like one of those moments you look around and you're like, all right, this is life. Like, this is crazy. This is
Yeah.
definitely like top 10 coolest moments. I think it's really interesting because, yes, it's in the continent of Africa, but it feels very different. It feels
Mhm.
almost like Middle Eastern. They speak Arabic and all sorts of different languages. And so getting to experience the culture and the food and all the different vibes was really cool. The shopping, the textiles, everything's beautiful.
Uh, that's so cool. And I love that it was a spur of the moment just trip where you both were in it together, and what a cool foundation to your guys' relationship. Like that's
Yeah.
so special to have. So I'm at like friendship wise, I'm thinking how cool that is, but oh my God, I can't imagine how cool Morocco is, and that's so special. So yeah, huge kudos and congrats to you.
Thanks. I don't know about you, but there's some people that you just travel super well with, and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, this is amazing. We're on the same vibe. Like that was me and her the entire trip, and so it was so nice because I don't feel like that's the norm. Usually, you go on a trip with someone, you're like, all right, I don't think I can do 10 days internationally with you
Yeah.
ever again.
Yeah.
But so yeah, her and I walked away from that trip being like, all right, so at minimum, we're going on one annual trip together. So it was great.
Oh my God, we love female friendships. Hell yeah. That's amazing. Oh, my win recently. So to be completely honest, the last few days have just like not been feeling it. Have not been feeling myself. But I talked to my brother and he had some wise words to say. So I took his advice and I just like changed things up a little bit this morning. I love my morning routine, but I can be so rigid with it and like not have any flexibility. So this morning I ended up starting work a little bit later, went out for coffee, went out for breakfast, just like sat outside, read my book to get the day started. And it was like perfect. It wasn't this huge change. It wasn't this big like to do, but switching it up really did something for me this morning. So,
That's a life hack. I feel like anytime you're like in a rut, you just gotta switch it up and like
yeah,
see what happens. But that's really good advice from your brother, honestly.
I was
Because
so annoyed.
you're like, why are you right? That's
Yeah.
annoying.
Yeah.
That's smart though. I feel like, yeah, even just something as minuscule as like treating yourself to a coffee or like, going to a cafe to work or like doing something
Mhm.
different. It just, yeah, it sometimes puts you in a different mindset.
For sure. Leah, it was so good catching up. It was so good to see you.
Thank you. This was so fun, and thank you for thinking of me.
That's a wrap on Leah's world. What do you guys think of Leah? I think she's so cool. She's lived a lot of different lives, and I love that our lives have connected in different ways through Xavier, through mutual friends, and it was so cool to learn more about what was happening behind the scenes in her life, some good life lessons or things that she's learned along the way. Leah, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat. Talking with Leah made me really reminiscent of my time in Africa, and just it truly is so special, so beautiful. You are connecting with nature, the community, you learn a different lifestyle, you get new perspectives, and the people there you can just learn so much from. And it's so special. So I loved hearing that from her, and I truly am still flabbergasted that they were there for 4 years. Hope you're loving Oddrey's World. If so, you're in luck. We'll be back again next Tuesday. If you're missing me in the in between, I get it. It's tough. So I'm on Instagram and TikTok. Check me out at Oddrey's World. If you're liking this too, you can always like, rate, review, subscribe, give it some stars, comment, answer the polls. Do your thing. You could take it one step further. Take it offline and share it with your friends. Tell your friends about it. Tell your family about it. Tell your partner about it. Tell your coworkers about it. We love people who spread the word about Oddrey's World. And I will see you again next Tuesday. Love ya. Bye.